how they got here. So the big story of the day is obviously going to be Joseph Fahnbulleh. So Fahnbulleh, he goes in and he doubles. So he wins the 100 and he wins the 200, and then he also was the anchor on that 4x1 team that came in second. And he had 3 really amazing races. He put it all together when it mattered the most. And so what he was doing in the 100, he got a little bit of a better start than he normally does. You know, everyone kind of criticizes him saying, oh, you have a bad start, blah, 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 blah. But if you look at the race here, his start in the 100 wasn't that bad. And it was a really, really close race. I mean, one thing that was really funny after the race, in an interview, he says, hey, if it's even, I'm leaving. And so you have to be so far ahead of Joseph Fahnbulleh because you know his closeout speed is going to be massive. And so, like he said in his quote, if it's even, I'm leaving. And that's what he did. He got out and he was just a little bit behind the group. And then he ends up pulling away at the last second to get the win, where he ran a time of 10.00, a new personal best. And so another storyline out of that 100 was Michael Williams. So obviously going into this race, Michael Williams was the best, or Mackay Williams. He was the number 1 seed coming into the championship. He had ran a 986 and a windy 983. And so he was the person that, you know, in my book, I had him as a national champion. In pretty much everyone else's books, had him as a national champion. And he doesn't show up and perform as he would like to. He ends up running he comes in 7th place and gets beat by, you know, a good amount of people there. And he really never had that separation that he normally does. I mean, his start is usually really good. And when we saw that he didn't have a lead on the team, he was actually kind of right in the middle. It looked like he was in 2nd or 3rd place like this entire time. Through that first 50 meters or so, I was like, man, this doesn't look good, because Fahnbulleh's close is so stellar and you're just even with him. I don't see a way that, you know, a guy that has a really good start didn't get the best start and then beating a guy whose closeout speed is top tier. So he ended up coming in 2nd place. Feel bad for him. I think it was a mental thing, you know, when you're competing at these types of high levels and you now have that pressure on you, you know, that can build. I mean, he's went from being a guy last year making the Olympic team, you know, being that 4th leg, to, you know, not many people knowing who you are outside of the NCAA championship, to being now you're the 2nd fastest guy in the world, and you have expectations that come with that. And so I think that pressure, you know, built up for him, you know, which is fine. I mean, it happens to me, it happens to everyone, you know. Sometimes the pressure becomes a lot when you go from, you know, you go from being the underdog to being the favorite. I mean, I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. We went from being, you know, the underdogs winning the Super Bowl to next year being the favorites and not performing how we wanted to. So, you know, that happens. You know, you can go into a race being the favorite, being at home, and then, you know, your heart's beating a million miles a minute and things just don't execute the way that you want. Feel bad for him. I'm sure he's probably, you know, kicking himself about it. So don't want to dwell on it too much, but that was definitely one of the storylines that you got to take out of this one, for sure. Going back to Joseph Fahnbulleh, he also wins in the 200. It was really going to be not even a debate for him. Once we saw that he won the 100-meter dash, it was almost like locked that he was going to end up winning in the 2. So he wins in the 200 with a time of 19.83. Once again, he had a pretty good comeback that he normally does. His top end speed is just far superior than anyone else in the competition there. It was interesting because I was also at the New York City Grand Prix on Sunday and interviewed Noah Lyles, and he was talking about, once I saw that he won the 100, it really wasn't even a debate that he was going to win the 2. I mean, he's just so fast. You know, he's got that confidence, he's got that ability to execute at a very high level that I just don't see him not winning it. And so that was something that was really interesting that we heard from, you know, one of the pros who was supposed to be committing to Florida. Also, after his race, we see him this is Joseph Fahnbulleh. He picks up the phone and like pretends to call it. This was just like Grant Holloway, who did that back in 2019 after he won the national championship in the 110-meter hurdles. And then we saw on Sunday, Noah Lyles did the same thing. So it looks like this might be a little trend that we could see going on with the sprinters, and I'm not mad at it one bit.